You've probably heard the statistic before. Nearly 70% of high-achieving people experience imposter feelings at some point in their lives. Researchers from the Harvard Business School and the American Psychological Association have studied it for decades. But here's the strange part. The people who feel it the most are often the ones who achieve the most. And yet, you don't talk about your wins. You finish something difficult, you reach a milestone, you accomplish something most people would celebrate, and instead of announcing it, you quietly move on. You downplay it, you change the subject. Sometimes you don't even tell anyone at all, which is strange in a world where people broadcast every small victory. But you're different, and here's the part nobody says out loud. You weren't always like this. There was a time when you shared things freely. When you were younger, your excitement used to spill out naturally. You told people about the good things happening in your life, because that's what joy does. It wants witnesses. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Maybe you shared something you were proud of and someone responded with silence. Maybe someone mocked it, minimized it, or compared it to something bigger. Maybe you noticed that your success made someone uncomfortable, so you started learning something quietly. You learned that celebrating yourself could shift the atmosphere of a room. You learned that your pride sometimes made other people defensive or jealous or dismissive, so you adapted. You didn't stop achieving, you just stopped announcing it. And over time, it became automatic. When something good happens, you instinctively tuck it away like a private journal entry instead of a public headline. But here's what nobody tells you. Psychology has actually studied this pattern. The concept connects strongly with work from Murray Bowen, the creator of family systems theory. Bowen proposed that people often regulate their behavior to maintain emotional balance inside social groups. In simple terms, you learned to manage your success in a way that keeps relationships stable. Your brain isn't hiding your achievements because you lack confidence. It's doing it because somewhere in your past, success disrupted connection, and your nervous system made a quiet calculation. Belonging matters more than recognition. Researchers like Susan Cain, author of Quiet, have also observed that many reflective or inward-focused individuals process achievements privately before sharing them outwardly. Your brain values internal meaning more than external applause. But here's the deeper layer nobody explains. This habit often begins long before adulthood. When you were younger, you were constantly scanning your environment. You were noticing reactions, facial expressions, subtle tone shifts, the energy in the room. Children are incredible pattern detectors, and if younger you ever noticed that attention came with tension, you quietly adjusted the blueprint. Instead of standing in the spotlight, you stepped slightly to the side. It wasn't fear, it was strategy. Your younger self wasn't trying to disappear. Your younger self was trying to protect harmony, protect connection, protect the emotional temperature of the people around you. And once that strategy worked a few times, your brain filed it under survival. So now, when something great happens, a quiet voice inside you says, keep it humble, keep it small, keep it safe. But here's the tension nobody talks about. Research from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and workplace studies analyzed by the Harvard University show that people who consistently minimize their accomplishments are significantly more likely to be overlooked for leadership roles and opportunities. Not because they lack ability, because visibility shapes perception. When people don't see your contributions, they unconsciously assume they're smaller than they actually are, and that creates a strange paradox. You often end up being one of the most capable people in the room while simultaneously being the least recognized. You become the quiet backbone of projects, the person who solves problems behind the scenes, the one others rely on without fully realizing how much you carry, which can feel both empowering and invisible at the same time. But here's the twist most people miss. Studies from the University of Michigan show that individuals who downplay their achievements often score higher in long-term collaboration, trust building, and perceived humility, traits strongly associated with effective leadership and psychological safety within teams. In other words, the very trait that makes you quieter about your success also makes people feel safer around you. People open up to you more, they trust you more, they listen to you more carefully because you're not competing for attention, you're creating space. That's not weakness, that's influence operating at a quieter frequency. But here's the most important shift. Society tends to label people like you as too modest or not confident enough, but those labels are incomplete. There's a more accurate word. Your achievement private. You don't need an audience to validate progress. Your satisfaction comes from the work itself, the growth itself, the internal signal that you moved forward. For many people, success is a performance. For you, it's a personal contract. And once you understand that difference, something changes. You realize you don't have to transform into someone loud to succeed. You don't have to start broadcasting every milestone just to prove something. But you also don't have to hide everything either, because sharing a win doesn't erase humility. Sometimes it simply gives others permission to see the full picture of who you are. The quiet discipline, the effort no one noticed, the victories that happened while everyone else was looking somewhere else. And if a part of you still wonders whether keeping things private means something is wrong with you, let this land clearly. There is nothing missing in you. Your mind simply learned that meaning matters more than applause. And the next time you accomplish something you're proud of, you get to decide something consciously instead of automatically. Maybe you keep it private. Maybe you share it. But either way, the decision belongs to you now, not to an old survival blueprint. So here's a question worth leaving in the comments. What's one achievement you've been quietly carrying lately? Someone out there might need to hear it. Quiet success is still success.